what is our unique selling point, right? I think that is a really good question, and traditionally we found that a little bit difficult, because obviously the political landscape is a little bit more crowded here in Wales than it is in England, for example. We also have a different electoral system to Europe. Anthony mentioned some European parties earlier, and obviously they work within a different system. However, for me, I think that our strength has always been that we are a global movement. We're not just a local Green Party. We're actually a global movement, and we've got the strength of the science community and all of those people behind us, and I feel like that the winds are changing a little bit, so we need to be able to capitalise on what is happening and what is going on in the public discussion at the moment. In our benefit, we can actually be the ones who reimagine the system that we currently have to ensure that it is fit for purpose for Wales, whereas the other parties just sort of tinker around the edges, and they can't actually suggest anything that would be different from the framework we operate in. So I think that is where we stand, and that's what our strength is.
Okay, well, I think there's a couple of things here. First of all, we need to distinguish between what we want people to be most concerned about in terms of the policies we're putting forward, and what people are actually most concerned about. And that's an important distinction, I think, because there are many things that come within our policy framework which we can sort of we can prosecute and advance those policies in lots of different kinds of forums, you know, whether it's at an international, a national, a local, or a Welsh national or a regional level. There are many, many different levels at which these things can work. And I think the answer as to which policies we actually put at the top of our political agenda in Wales are very much based on what those sort of issues are and where they're going to play out the best. So for example, I do believe that we need to be allying ourselves with local groups of people and communities in places like Anglesey who are opposing the Oil for B development. I do think we need to follow up on the whole issue of the tidal lagoon in South Wales, where there is clearly a substantial amount of public support for that. But I think we also need to be looking a bit wider, and one of the things that I would say is that we need to look, for example, at something which every single person in this country needs, and if we had more of it, which was better, we wouldn't need the M4 relief road, and that's public transport. You know, we've got a golden opportunity now with a new franchise system in Wales for the railway service in Wales, Transport for Wales. It's still privately owned, so it's not as accountable as it should be, as we would like it to be, but it's better than what we had before. And we've got a golden opportunity now to try and advance that part of the transport agenda in Wales in a way that will be beneficial for people's ability to move around the country more often. Not just in the valleys, but in North Wales as well, because we would like to have that money which the Welsh Government is planning to spend on the Newport relief bypass being spent as part of the vast amount of money that needs to be invested in our public transport infrastructure. And one last thing, if I can, I think we really need to nail Labour in Wales, okay? Because Labour in Wales, as in the rest of this country, in the UK, is trying to paint itself now as an environmentally friendly party, stealing our clothes, if you like. We need to be very clear that this is not actually the truth. And when you look at their policies, they're actually doing things which are against the environmental agenda that they claim to be protecting and defending.
I think I would say one of the unique selling points that we have that we really need to get across to the electorate is that our policies are designed to give people a better quality of life now and in the future. We want to give them greener and cleaner spaces. We want them to have a place that is positive and support their mental and physical health, as well as looking after the planet for the future. We talk about time. Nobody has enough time at the moment. Everybody's rushed off their feet. Nobody seems to be able to work enough hours to cover all the bills that go in. And yet we're saying we should be doing a 4-day week. We want a living wage. We want basic income. These things are all designed to give real dignity for workers, entrepreneurs, carers and volunteers. We want them to have more money in their pocket that they can spend in their local economy, and that will build the Welsh economy from the ground up. And that will build stronger communities as well. And that is the big thing that we need to be selling to the electorate, is our policies will make their lives better, will improve their quality of life right now. Thank you.
We occupy a unique spot on the political spectrum. It's not the old left-right stuff. We have unique policies that cover everything, and we need to promote them as much as we can. The mud issue that I touched on recently, the potentially toxic nuclear mud from Hinkley-C, that provided a brilliant opportunity, especially for me locally, because it was in my hometown, to really highlight the fact that we are the only political party in Wales unambiguously opposed to all nuclear power. I had a lovely moment of schadenfreude. The local Plaid party had been making a lot of noise about the nuclear mud being dumped, and they were doing it in a very populist way. And I didn't know, they sent a press release into the Penarth Times, our local paper. The Penarth Times did what they always do with an environmental green story. They called me up and asked me for my quote, and it gave us a brilliant example, a brilliant opportunity to present that clear difference that Plaid somehow think the nuclear product from an English nuclear power site is bad, but Wilford B is okay. It was an ideal opportunity, and we need to seize all those opportunities. I mean, Duncan talked about Labour. There's a Hustings this Saturday, the Labour leadership. All three of them, Mark Drakewood's been hedging his bets for a while, but all three of them ultimately came out in favour of Wilford B and the M4 Relief Road. They cannot pretend to be a Green government. They are not honouring their own legislation, the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act. But also, we need to differentiate ourselves and what is different about us and how we do politics different. But we also need to recognise where other parties share our concerns and where we can achieve things by working together with other parties. We are running out of time on these issues, and if other parties, we disagree with them on a lot of things, but on the places where we agree, we must work with them. I've been heavily involved with 2020 for Wales campaign, and I've had so much support from Labour AMs and Conservative AMs with this, David Melding in particular. And I've valued that support and appreciated it, because that is how we're going to get these things done. It's working together, it's highlighting the differences when we've got them, making sure people understand that we have different policies, not being shoved aside, the other parties pretending to be green, but also not resorting to name calling and point scoring, the old politics. It turns people off. We have a vision of a fairer and better world, so we need to do our politics in a fairer and better way. Thank you.